Gerard. We picked them up coming down Conrod Straight again. The dealer team car running strongly out in front, increasing the lead, 2 minutes 9 seconds. Then a buffer of 1:42 back to David Parsons from Alan Moffat. The question now is whether or not the Commodore can run at this pace for the remainder of the race, whether Moffat, with all his expertise, his knowledge of this circuit, can pull back that deficit.
Looking down the pit straight towards the Hardy Bridge as Moffat, as Brock rather, comes through in car 25. Moffat in second place, but a fair way astern. And a lot of catching up to do in, well, there's still plenty of laps to go.
Plenty of laps, and they're running out for the leading car. We'll take a break and return live to Mount Panorama at Bathurst for the James Hardy 1000. Welcome back to Mount Panorama at Bathurst. Peter McLeod here in this, Graham Bailey rather, in Peter McLeod's Slick 50 car, putting a lap there on Jing Cook in the TAA entered Mazda RX-7 from Tasmania, sharing the car with Johnny Walker.
Those guys haven't done too badly. They blew the start and didn't get away from the grid at all, and tailed off at the end of the race as they went out the first time, and they've stuck it out. They're in 44th place. Oh boy, a little out of shape.
To lose there, yes.
They're in 44th place, the TAA car, a long way back, but they're sticking it out, determined to finish.
They've done well, the driving combination of Jing Cook and Johnny Walker. Graham Bailey doing a good job here in McLeod's Slick 50 car, coming through Murray's Corner. Now down Conrod Straight.
You look at that car, Mike, and it's almost impossible to believe the way it's done up and painted. But a decade and a half ago, cars were not allowed to carry sponsor credits. Motor racing, of course, wasn't as expensive in those days, but it must have been an uphill battle for those that were on a shoestring budget to extract money in those early days from companies when they had very little to offer them. In fact, 1968 provided a number of firsts as far as this race is concerned. In February of that year, the James Hardy Group began its long association with Bathurst, and the Holden dealer team made its debut at the mountain in what was a magnificent anticlimax. The Holden dealer team Monaros were upstaged in the battle for outright honours by the Wyong Motors entry of Bruce McPhee and Barry Mulholland in their private entered Holden GTS, emerging as the winners.
Jing Cook and Johnny Walker, the RTA car from Tasmania, heads up the straight. We were covering them before. As you know, they were very slow off the grid. They went behind the pit wall. They had to make some major changes to the car in the pits for quite a spell, and have returned now.
Yeah, we're here.
In the pits, they're Mike Bergman, Tony Longhurst car, so they've done a lot of work on that car since it was stranded at the top of the mountain. It looks like they're planning on going back out again.
Well, we just talked about sponsorship on cars, and I guess that they want to do the right thing, and they want to stay out there and circulate, because people have given them a lot of support, and they're going to show it in the best way that they can.
There are quite a familiar faces out on the racetrack, but I think there's even more familiar faces in the pit area.
That front right wheel, does that contravene the regulations? It extends beyond the guard.
Yes, you could say that. A lot of flair for that. But they're still in there trying to get themselves out on the racetrack as quickly as possible. Gene Cook coming over the top of the mountain. Well done to the oval track followers around Australia. Has driven touring cars in Tasmania several years ago. Went to the oval tracks only a few years back. Has dominated that, winning the national championship on pavement. This is his first time at Mount Panorama.
Enough, the two guys sharing the drive in this car were just having a talk together about motor racing generally earlier this year, and discovered that neither of them had ever competed here at Bathurst before, and suddenly it occurred to them, why shouldn't they get together and do it? Hello, car 3 is in. Parsons in the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore. Do we see a driver change? Does Jansen get back behind the wheel?
Looks like they're looking for someone.
Where's the captain? Yes. Jansen's rushing around. He hasn't got his helmet.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Parsons may have taken them by surprise. They may have come in a lap. He may have come in a lap earlier than expected. Here's Evan.
There's an unexpected change. Certainly Peter Jansen wasn't going to get in. I think it's because David is very weary. He is almost exhausted. It's a tremendous effort out there, and David Parsons was staggering when he got out. Peter Jansen didn't have his helmet, had to rush back shouting for his helmet. They put it on. He's still dressing himself as he gets in the car. David Parsons now, the 23-year-old from Tasmania, who's done such a great job here this week, is trying to help up Peter Jansen. But truly, David is so weary that he's having difficulty. He's fumbling with the straps. He's doing his best to help the captain. But in fact, he's getting in the way and leaning there in support. He is a tired young fellow. We'll have a chat to him in just a moment. Now just pulling up the straps. Leaning on the car. I wouldn't lean on there, David. I'd get off the car. You really are tired.
Come on.
He's away. How do you feel?
Oh, not too bad. It feels as if I've got blisters on my hand or something, and a bit of bad oil surge.
Oil surge in the car and blisters on your hand. Let's have a look. Can you take your gloves off?
A little bit sore right in the...
Yeah, let's just have a look at them then,
I
Dave.
feel them coming up underneath. Very sore.
Are they? Yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, that's the strap, yeah. You're pretty weary, I think, aren't you?
Oh, not too bad as far as that.
It must be hard work if you're blistering your hands. Yeah, just hold your hand up so we can see them.
The one that's sore right in under there.
Right in there, yeah.
But anyhow, come right in.
All right.
No worries.
Okay. We'll get out of the way. There's another car coming in. And let David Parsons get back in over the pits and attend to those blisters. You've got them a big ridge down one side of the hand and right across the other hand, as you probably saw.
Thank you, Evan. Back on the track, car 11 goes through the Soundwaves Disco with the captain in pursuit at the wheel of number 3, the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore. Taken a little by surprise, but I'm sure he'll adapt very quickly. He usually does. A man who can take advantage of any given situation at not even a moment's notice.
Might take him a lap or so to settle in. We're rather flustered there at the pit stop, expecting him maybe a lap or so later, only to have him arrive in the pits. But Peter Jansen trying to keep his great Bathurst finishing record intact.
Peter Jansen lists his occupation as gentleman. Previous occupations, never had one before.
He's quite a character, is Peter Jansen. He goes back quite a long way with a racing career that has been... Oh, no.
Oh, the car's gone.
After passing the car, and it spun at the top of the mountain, coming down, just clips the wall. That is not a good place to be if anyone was travelling very, very close to him at the time. So Peter Jansen has taken over from David Parsons, has lasted only half a lap. And the car is, we believe, blown a motor and is out.
Fire marshals quickly on the scene, chopper overhead to get the picture for you. Parked in a most dangerous spot again at the top of the mountain, down towards Forest Elbow, and the car expires in a spectacular way. Fourth outright here last year in this car. Here it is again in replay. A plume of smoke billowing from the rear of the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore. Now into the spin, 360 degrees, and clunk into the wall. And the captain comes to a halt on the top of Mount Panorama.
It's a pity, really, to see David Parsons doing so well, but it's not a blown motor, obviously. It certainly gave all the appearance of a blown engine. But Evan Green is still in the pit area with David Parsons very close by.
David, how does it feel to see that sort of scene?
Not real good. but nothing you can do about it. It's just one of those things, you know, when it happens, it happens. But
The message we get from the top of the mountain is he's bringing the car back down here.
well, that's really great. That's good.
Right.
But anyhow, it's just one of those things. It happens with motor racing, and can't do much more than that.
Okay, we'll leave you to it, and we'll see whether or not Peter Jansen can bring his car down. The crew are certainly getting ready. You can see them all buoyed up. They were crushed for a moment. Now there's confidence and expectation. But whether or not the merry captain can get down here is a big problem. What's happening up on the top of the mountain? Can you see there, Gary?
Slowly coming down, and very slowly down Conrod Straight, keeping hard over on the left. Peter Jansen at the wheel of the Commodore, allowing any other traffic coming down there to get by him easily. He is a gentleman, true to his occupation, and he'll get down there in about a minute and a half, I'd say, 2 minutes, Evan. Whether or not the damage is repairable remains to be seen. On the way up the mountain, meantime, I think it's that big Camaro again, isn't it, that has also got a huge amount of smoke billowing from the rear of it, so he's in trouble. It looks like oil there, so drivers following the Bergman car will want to be pretty careful heading up into GTX Bend.
Here comes the Bergman car. Tony Longhurst as Jansen. The Smoky captain returns to the pit area. There's the 33 Camaro. It's seen finer days, let me tell you. It won't be out there for much longer, blowing all that smoke, and hopefully not dropping oil all over the circuit. Starting to see a fairly high rate of attrition now. Going out very wide against the wall there. Jansen's back into the pit area, and the crew are very quickly around the car. Let's go down to Evan Green.
Well, you got the car down, Peter. What happened?
The engine, the engine just blew to smithereens. I tell you what, it's quite exciting having a little spin up the top there.
You almost controlled it beautifully. In fact, you did your best. It was a marvellous bit of carmanship, too.
Thank you very much.
And just nudged the fence like this.
Oh, well, these are the things that happen. We've had a good run. You couldn't wish for better.
How many years have you finished here in such high places now in a row?
About 6 or 7 years,
Yeah.
never out of the top 5. You know, you've got to give somebody else a go. But I think it's time I had a nice little J&B whiskey with a little bit of Schweppes in it and a cherry ripe and all the rest.
You must be feeling proud the way that young David Parsons has been going.
I tell you what, he's the best boy on the mountain, I reckon. Coming on, there's no one that can touch him. The car's 4 years old. It's the 4th time at Bathurst, and he got it on 3rd row, 3rd fastest in Hardy Heroes. And we've had a good run today. It's gone like a clockwork. We had a blowout on the 15th lap, but that was nothing.
You look remarkably happy for a man who's just lost all chance and probably cost you an awful lot of money.
I don't think that, you know, it is a sport, Evan, and if you look at it any other way, you know, you blow your brains out. This is the only way, and we've had a happy day, and we've all gone very, very well. Now I can watch a great finish.
One of the gentlemen of motor racing, truly, Peter Jansen.
Thank you, Evan Green. Picking up on Phil Alexander and Ron Gillard, the number 35 Mazda RX-7, who have been moving up steadily through the field.
And we'll talk more about them when we return to the great race at Mount Panorama.
The only lady driver in this year's James Hardy 1000 is Christine Gibson, who was driving the very new Nissan Turbo Pulsar Coupe, which was in fact in practice 3 seconds faster than any other car in its class, and still couldn't get it all together. Christine, what happened?
We had a bit of a problem in the gearbox. The main shaft in the gearbox broke. It's something that's been tried and tested. We've had such little time for testing with such a brand new car, and I suppose as everybody else here has had all their problems, ours was...
Yeah, you're not alone.
No, it's true. And it's a fairly major one. It meant a completely sort of different gearbox and the whole bit. With all the problems that the boys are having as well, there's no chance that the car will get back out.
Yeah. Christine, a front-wheel drive car with a lot of power is very different to drive from a rear-wheel drive car with a lot of power. How did it feel to you?
The car is extremely different to drive, and I found that apart from the understeer oversteer characteristic of a front-wheel drive, when you're on power and off power, it moves about a lot on the circuit. There is just so much power developing through the front wheels that when you're under power, it tends to want to pull one way. When you lift off, it tends to pull back the other way. So you have to actually choose the position where you want people to pass you, because it's like a zigging and a zagging type operation. As far as the handling of the car is concerned, it's excellent. It goes around corners and it will do almost anything that you tell it to do.
Nissan planning to go on racing the car from here for a bit longer?
I think the plan is for at least for the next 12 months with the car, mainly because it's not showing its best now. I mean, the car has got so much potential.
Sure.
Because of such little development program so far, we need another 12 months to be able to show the true potential of the car. Be ashamed to stop now.
Sure, after spending all that time and money, yeah. Christine, thank you very much. Mike, back to you.
Thanks very much. Pity that we have seen Christine Gibson out of the race so early today, but I'm quite sure Howard Marsden, the magnificent Nissan team that he has around him, will make a very competitive car out of the Pulsar. The cars, of course, both of them, both turbo cars, have wound up in the pits today. They went back into the pound at one stage, but they're back on the track and circulating quite fast. Well, here's the story of the race. Peter Brock, Alan Moffat. Only difference is in the last 20 seconds, Peter Brock has just put one lap on Alan Moffat.
Yes, I think probably a few people for a moment, the Mazda brigade might have thought that during the interview with Christine, Alan had made up about 2 minutes and 10 seconds on the race leader, but that was not to be. Moffat in second place is a lap down on Peter Brock. He is an unusual man, Alan Moffat. I don't think there's any denying that in anybody's language. You know, here at Bathurst, it's pretty hard to believe that in this tent city that springs up behind pit row every year for the James Hardy 1000, you can't believe that any one person, any driver, can remain isolated. But Alan Moffat has turned it into an art form that even the late Howard Hughes would have been proud of. During the week, he's made it the habit of driving directly from the track into his tent workshop and vice versa. The commentators, in fact, have nicknamed the Moffat enclosure the Canvas Vatican. The only access that journalists have had has been via a daily news conference at 4:30 each afternoon, where the answers were pretty short and sweet. However, Moffat did agree to review 1983 for Steve Raymond.
When we were beaten into the ground, annihilated really, this time a year ago, there were no recriminations. And we sat down, looked at the budget, anticipated what it would take to try and overcome that deficit. And along with our associates in Japan at Mazda, we looked towards the 13B. And as it turned out, the 13B with fuel injection. A funny thing happened here today. I haven't seen too many people coming down wanting to get our fuel injection, whereas before Sandown, I think people would have burnt our tent down to try and get one of our engines. The penny has finally dropped that we did put an honorable case through to CAMS. We asked for a package that we were capable of producing. We warned them that giving Peter Brock a ball bearing is like giving a master chef some new ingredient, which you don't have to give that fellow too much. He'll turn it into a great lap time.
You can win the touring car championship, the one that means most to you. Looks as though it will be elusive while ever you remain in Mazda product.
Well, that's a possibility, Steve, and one has to say there are horses for courses, and if you want to run the Melbourne Cup, you've got to run the weight that the handicappers give you, and basically that's the boat we're in. It'll be interesting to see after this race how long or how deep the knives come out or how much we are cut back. People were talking about, you know, maybe a good formula for 1984 would be to put us on two wheels, and that would sort of even things up a little bit. But Bathurst is a unique circuit. Fortunately for us, the Geelong 500 is on the horizon. Looks like being a goer for Easter next year, and that may sort of equalize a little bit of the prominence that Bathurst has as the sole major long-distance race in Australia. And we may just have to accept the fact that as long as we are running the little RX-7 with such a small engine, that we may not be capable of getting victory here.
But you will remain RX-7s for 84?
That one will have to be the discussion of many hours in the boardroom between now and Christmas.
Alan Moffat, they're outlining the plans of this James Hardy and the future. Still in second place, but he is a lap down on the race leader, Peter Brock. Might be timely to call up our wins scoreboard to take a look at the positions, leading positions in today's race. And there, the Wins Automotive Products printout shows John Harvey and Peter Brock and Larry Perkins out in front. Moffat and Katayama in second place, Grice and Bond in third, McLeod and Bailey in fourth, Keogh and Leonard in fifth place. Harrington and Wigston in sixth, Grant and Selden in seventh, Jansen and Parsons, you can take that out, Alexander and Gillard, and French and Morris rounding off the 12.
Car in the pit there is the five-cylinder Audi, the only one of its kind in the race, and in trouble in the pits at the present time. It is running in fourth place in the 3-litre class, 25th outright. That's car number 63, Chris Heyer and Don Bretland in the Audi 5+5, and as I said, fourth in the 3-litre class, that class still being led by car number 55, Barry Seaton in the Capri. So the Audi's done a pretty good job of hanging in there, fourth in the class and 25th outright.
We'll take a break and then return live to Mount Panorama for the James Hardie 1000.
Bad news from the Dick Johnson pits. It seems that the great effort by the Queensland team to get back in this race and stay in it has come to nothing. What's happened, Dick?
It's just that the gearbox oil pump has thrown the towel in, and it means the oil in the gearbox doesn't get cooled, and it just overheats and fries the oil in the gearbox.
So it's the end of a big effort.
Only for the reason because we run out of gearboxes, nothing else.
You've got some of your team with one notable interloper standing here. You must feel very proud of them.
I really do feel proud of them, Evan. They've done a tremendous job. They've worked all night. And again today, they've worked all day today. So, and it's not only that, but the months preceding, the amount of work they put in is tremendous.
Okay, Dick, we'll let you go and have a bit of a rest. The fellows look as though they can go to sleep. And back to you, Mike Raymond.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you to Dick Johnson and to Captain Marvel. We pick up on Conrod Straight, and Alan Moffat, just coming down into the Forest Elbow that time, was able to get around Peter Brock and unlap himself. So we have a real race going here. Keeping in mind that we're 115 laps into the race, and Moffat is now starting to really hound the RX-7. Brock had one lap on him. Moffat's been able to pull back, has passed him, and here is Brock tailing Moffat, coming down to, of course, Murray's Corner. Alan Moffat under the Hardy Bridge. Peter Brock still the race leader. Moffat in second place, and Alan Grice down in third place, but by 3 laps. To then number 50, Peter McLeod and Jim Keogh.
The fourth position car, the Slick 50 Mazda, is in the pits. A driver change. Graham Bailey is coming out and Peter McLeod is going into that car. Moffat, Brock right on his tail. Moffat, in effect, of course, is about 2 minutes 19 seconds in arrears. We mentioned before that there is no two-way communication in the dealer team cars this year. Instead, they've returned to the time-honoured system of lap boards, flashing lights and indicators to signal their pit, and vice versa. The one time they had an emergency, John Harvey, team manager, said the radio was no earthly good to them. It was out of range. They were out of range. Brock was calling for instructions, or calling out instructions. The pit didn't hear him, and when he came in, they were completely surprised. So after 5 years of experimentation, they've decided to junk $10,000 worth of radio equipment and go back to square one.
And still hear the crowd at the top of the mountain, particularly down through Murray's Corner, shouting plenty of encouragement to both Alan Moffat and to Peter Brock. Brock just prepared at this stage, is he to sit in, or is he going back to put a lap back on Alan Moffat? They're going to draw level halfway down Conrod Straight. This will at least test the braking capacity of the Commodore, or does he just want to pull out and show Moffat the car?
Side by side, Moffat's got the line.
Oh, dear.
Oh, Wow, late braking by Moffat.
There's the radar, 254.2 to pair of them, Alan Moffat and Peter Brock, as they came down Conrod Straight. That was pretty close stuff. I think Peter Brock now knows what the game plan is for the remaining laps of this race. Whether not to sit in behind Alan Moffat, or is Moffat trying to goad Peter Brock into maybe extending what's left of the Commodore.
I tell you what, that RX-7's got some legs up Mountain Straight. It takes a while for the V8 to get wound up, but by the time it does, they get to GTX bend, and there's no way round for Peter Brock.
They're awfully close there, coming through GTX, coming up now towards the cutting. Slower car just in front of them. And through the gears, dab of the brakes into the cutting. Halfway through the cutting, they come out now.
This is what the fans came to see, nose to tail, Moffat and Brock. There might be 2 minutes and 18 seconds between them, but they're right there, one-on-one on the track.
You can hear the crowd in the background. All those Holden supporters cheering on Peter Brock. And the Mazda followers, of course, cheering for Alan Moffat. Two of Australia's greatest touring car racers, Moffat and Brock. They have quite a string of victories here at Mount Panorama, 10 between them. Once again, we'll see whether or not Peter Brock will pull an overtaking manoeuvre down Conrod Straight. And wide coming out of the corner that time.
All those people you see sitting up there in banks at the top of Conrod and over Skyline watching this race. Well, that's where Peter Brock first saw the great race. He came here in '66 and had a burning ambition to get the other side of the fence, and has done it so successfully. 6-time winner and the defending champion at Mount Panorama. Down Conrod, and Moffat manages to gain a slight break on Moffat this time. Manages to gain a slight break on Peter Brock this time. Draws out just a little. Along pit row under the Hardy Bridge. Moffat actually is in second place in the race. The man behind him is leading. But the duel is just as desperate.
It's quite obvious that Moffat does not like having a Brock putting a lap on him, and is trying to see whether he can outdistance him, or whether or not Peter Brock, after having had one shot there, and Conrod Straight, is prepared now to sit in for a while.
Ooh, who can push him the hardest, though? That's what's going to resolve matters here.
I think just how disappointing this all must be for Johnny Harvey to be watching this as a spectator, having run for only 21 laps in the field. The car he started the race in is now being led by the team boss, Peter Brock. But that's the whole purpose of a team, to come up a winner. If they have to use 2 drivers, 3. At one stage we thought they were going to use more than that in this year's race. Through the fastest part of the course, the mountain, the straight and the drop down now. BS is the dipper. Brock is a little bit closer this time. Might get some lap times on these two to see just how quickly they are running.
Got 2 choppers up today, the 7 chopper, and alongside, as you can see, the Prudential chopper, which has been linking the pictures out of our race cam and race view cars today for as long as they survived. A great job, because these guys are flying through most of the day, and to track these cars around Mount Panorama at these sort of speeds.
Here's the pass and the repass again. It's got on twice in 4 laps. Alan Moffat, and still trying to put that lap back on Moffat, is Peter Brock, this time coming down the inside.
With the line.
Oh, no, he didn't. The public, the spectators here at Mount Panorama are getting one heck of a race between these two drivers. They know it's on, and I think now Peter Brock getting quite serious about it.
Well, serious, but going down pit straight, I noticed he did have time to smile and wave at Al as he went past. Moffat's got his revenge, though.
This lap.
Can they keep this up to the finish of the race? I mean, there's a long way to go yet. This sort of thing could bring one or both of them undone.
Depends just how hard Peter Brock wants to put that lap on Alan Moffat. He seems able to be able to pull him back. Maybe Brock is trying to show the long legs of the Mazda on the straight. But we'll check the times out they're doing in the next lap.
We might also check a few positions out. The only two cars on the lead lap are 25 and 43, Brock and Moffat. Then it's 2 laps down to Alan Grice in the STP Commodore number 6. He's in 3rd place. Another lap then to car 50, the McLeod Mazda, holding down 4th spot. 5th place on the track at the present time, the Toshiba Commodore number 12 with Jim Keogh at the wheel. And then it's 4 laps or more to the next string of cars. Number 14, Harrington, the STP 2nd Commodore. Car number 27, and that's the Alf Grant David Selden Falcon, the only Falcon that figures in proceedings at the present time. They're in 7th place. 8th place held by car number 35, and that's the Phil Alexander Ron Gillard Mazda RX-7. And number 4, Rusty French, is still out there circulating in the John Sands Commodore despite the brake problems, and of course Bobby Morris being taken ill with the heat and the fumes. Car number 53 gets on the leaderboard. Fred Geisler and Ralph Redburn in a Commodore. They've broken into the top 10 situation.
Here it comes again. Alan Moffat the inside, Peter Brock the outside. Brock onto the brakes first. The Mazda goes in much deeper. Out of the corner now along pit straight. The gap about 2 car lengths, maybe 3, between Alan Moffat, who is presently placed in 2nd. Peter Brock still trying to put that lap back on the 2nd place combo of Katayama and Moffat. Looks like these two are going to be at it all the way to the flag, so there is still plenty of interest. Mount Panorama at Bathurst. The scrap that we left going into our last break still continues. Alan Moffat still holding that 2 or 3 car edge over Peter Brock, but keeping in mind he is in 2nd place on the track. Peter Brock is still the race leader. Might be timely to take a look at our scoring board, courtesy of wins, to see how we are all placed after 120 of 163 circuits here at Mount Panorama. The Harvey, Brock and Perkins car is in the lead. Moffat and Katayama in the Mazda in 2nd place. Grice and Bond in the Commodore in 3rd. McLeod, Bailey in the Mazda RX-7 the next place, followed by Harrington and Wigston in the STP Commodore. They have then followed by the number 12 car, Keogh and Leonard in the Commodore, Grant and Selden in the Falcon XD, then French and Morris in the Commodore, Alexander and Gillard moving up in the Mazda RX-7, and Geisler and Radburn also in another Commodore. The Wins Automotive Products score chart after 120 of 163 laps.
Big effort by the STP team, Mike, to have 2 cars in the top 5 at this stage of the race.
They've done exceptionally well. Here again is this scrap. It's still continuing.
Pretty well sums up the way these 2 guys, they have dominated touring car racing in Australia for, what is it now, 10, 12, 14 years.
Is when you consider the number of Bathurst victories they split amongst them.
And touring car championships.
Correct.
Brock's won here 6 times. Moffat has won here 4 times. They both started in the same year, 69.
Mazda showing plenty of sprint along Conrod Straight, pulling out to pass the slower car. 121 of laps, and if Alan Moffat is preparing for a sprint to the flag by opening that gap up, he will have to do 1 complete circuit and pass Brock again for the lead. Now, whether or not that is possible, only time will tell. Let's have a look at the Ortex Raider. Alan Moffat's time down Conrod Straight last time, 255.8 kilometres per hour. exactly the same time to Peter Brock. So the two drivers only marginally faster that time down. Splitting them now is one of the Nissan Turbos. Alan Moffat goes past, heading through GTX and up towards the BP car. Coming up on Manson's Commodore and the Nissan Turbo, and Peter Brock back behind those two.
Well, they've run into a deal of traffic at this stage of the race. The 5+5 Audi also sandwiched in that bunch.
Nissan driver quite politely moved aside, watching the mirrors, and saw Brock involved and moved over very cleanly to allow Peter Brock a clear passage through the top of the mountain.
Down they come. 23 and 25. The pressure is on. Moffat's lap times are coming down. Now, is it because he's trying to shake off Brock, or is it because Brock is just pushing him that little bit harder? 2:20.8 the last lap round for Alan Moffat, having shaved about 3 or 4 tenths of a second off his lap times over the last 3 laps.
Well, working those out quickly, Moffat circulating 2:20 and Brock at 2:21.3. That means Moffat will have to gain 3.5 seconds per lap to win right on the knocker.
Don't see him doing that.
Well, there's a lot of people would say that perhaps it is feasible. We'll find out, though, because we're about to take a break and return live to Mount Panorama at Bathurst for the James Hardy 1000.
The 3-litre class leader is in the pits, car 55, Capri, father and son, Seaton and Seaton. Son is out, father is in. Barry Seaton takes over as the class leader in 55. To go back out, he's got 2 laps on the rest of the field in that class. Still, they swap places here in this great dice between Brock and Moffat. Again, Brock trying to put a lap up on Moffat.
I think he's only half serious about it.
He just wants to keep the pressure on.
That's right. He doesn't want Moffat to run away from him, and he has shown quite easily that Moffat at some occasions has had up to about a 4-car length lead, which he's been able to pull straight back again. So he's probably enjoying the tail view of the RX-7, knowing full well that Alan is really appreciating the fact that he is following him in second on the road. Car number 41 is 11th outright, made it up to. That's the Barry Jones Millen car, the Goodrich radial car. So they've done very well up to 11th outright. Should please their sponsors. Barry Jones, a very strong Mazda competitor and a regular at Sydney's Amaroo Park.
Across the top from the 7 chopper, the aerial view. Moffat manages to sneak away a car length or 2 on this section of the track. The lightweight and the horsepower that he develops, the great cornering ability of the RX-7 helps him to get through there very, very quickly. RX-7s, well, there are still a few of them in the race. I just saw Terry Shield go through, so he's still circulating. Also, Phil Alexander in an RX-7. But of course, the leading light as far as the supporters of the Mazdas are concerned is this man, Alan Moffat.
Evan Green is our man in the pits, bringing us up to date with all the information. Evan, how do you see this very interesting struggle going on between Peter Brock and Alan Moffat?
Well, it seems to me that Peter Brock there is in the box seat. I thought for a while, until he got held up by that Red Falcon going through the S's, that he was actually toying with Alan. He seemed to be driving very easily and almost trying to provoke him. But we're looking at the 2 greatest names in Bathurst in the last 10 years or more, because Alan Moffat won when first? 1970, Peter Brock in 1972. They won it 10 times between them. And you can see the respect they have for each other, how close they get to each other. They're great rivals. They're not close friends. I think it'd be fair enough to say they have some respect for them, but at the moment, you would seem that Brock is in the box. He's got almost a lap. He's just behind Alan Moffat. Alan can't pull away from him. Brock seems to be able to close at will. It is interesting. Both cars have to make another stop. Certainly, Moffat couldn't go without refueling because he would then have to cover 70 laps, and he can't do that. Peter Brock is due to come in about 3 laps' time. The team are ready for him. In fact, Larry Perkins has put the helmet on, but I think it's very likely that Peter will stay out. They want him to stay out. It depends how he himself feels, but judging by the way he's driving at the moment, I'd say he's having a ball and wouldn't want to give it up, although when he comes in for his pit stop, he'll have to give almost 2/3 of a lap to Alan Moffat, and that'll be the end of what has been the scrap of the race.
Tell me this, though, Evan, it only needs one foul up in the pits, and that could be Bathurst 83.
Oh, indeed. A foul up in the pits. A car's just a touch, a car to get in their way. We've seen plenty of that today. In fact, the Commodore's bearing the scars on the right-hand headlight. Another car getting in its way. There's still plenty of things that could go wrong. And for two fellas to be driving like this, as I say, indicates the enormous respect they have for each other. Rocky wouldn't do with another driver at this stage of the race, or very few of them, but look how close he goes at times. He doesn't want Alan Moffat to get away from him. He knows he's got the race in his pocket if nothing goes wrong. But there are two factors here. One is he's got to make a pit stop, and he knows that tenths of a second lost in the pits could cost him the race. And the other is a matter of personal pride. He doesn't want Moffat to get away from him. These are two men who each regard themselves or himself as being the finest driver in Australia. And even in the name of tactics, neither is going to give way to the other.
Thank you, Evan. There's a shot of some of the crews down in the pit area watching the action on our 7 coverage, following their cars, their drivers around the circuit. Just about all the pit crew bays are set up with monitors where the co-drivers can follow during the course of the day the progress of their machines. It's on again. Bit of a larrikin is Brock, showing the outside edge of the car, then forcing Alan in deeper into the turn.
Yes, forcing him to use his brakes. Of the big list of RX-7s that started in the race, only 6 survive. KB, little disconsolate. No, things are not good.
Well, he's had better luck the last couple of years, Kevin Bartlett. But I wouldn't believe that Kevin Bartlett's racing days in touring cars are over. He appreciated the run with Dick Johnson this year. Dick was delighted with the time set by Kevin in practice. They were looking forward to a trouble-free day. That's until they met disaster in Hardy's Heroes yesterday in the qualifying sprints.
Only 6 RX-7 surviving. Mazda, Moffat, of course, the leading Mazda contender, but Peter McLeod is still there in the Slick 50 entry and in contention because he holds down 4th place. Phil Alexander in car number 35 is also not in contention, but doing extremely well in the top 10. He's in 9th spot, although 4 laps down on the race leader, Peter Brock. Terry Shield is still circulating, as is car number 51, Tony Mulvihill and John Murden in their RX-7. And also the TAA car number 32, the one that blew the start, is still out there going around with Johnny Walker and Gene Cook. Once more across the top.
Johnny Harvey and his wife Beverly following the progress of Peter Brock. Well, what else has John Harvey got to do to win the James Hardy 1000? At least he can say he's been a part or as a co-winner of the race.
If Brock is coming in for a stop, is he going to stay in the car?
I don't know. I would think that Brock will remain in the car. Back into the pit area. Evan Green should be in the pits as we see Larry Perkins in his helmet, obviously ready to go racing.
Well, he's certainly got the helmet on, but they don't think that Larry will take over. The team plan is for Peter to stay in the car, but it's going to be up to Peter Brock when he comes in. Larry is ready to go, if need be. But the feeling of the team is that Peter Brock should stay out there. He knows what the car's like. He hasn't got too far to go now. And the race has reached such a crucial stage. I think it would be much better if Peter Brock were to stay in the car. But it's going to be his decision. And it'll be decided about 1/10 of a second when they come into the pits. He's still maintaining that fairly constant gap between himself and Alan Moffat. Just far enough away to make sure there's no interruption to the cooling air supply to the radiator. He can look at the progress of Moffat, keep him within sight. But bear in mind that Brock is almost ready to come into the pits. Maybe this lap, maybe the next. It can't be too much further away. They did say he'd be in around this time, so this could be the last lap before Brock comes into the pits.
Okay, Evan, as that dice continues, we'll leave you there, and Mike Raymond will update the great race.
Hour 5 of the James Hardie 1000 for 1983. Peter Brock up front and leading. Car number 25, the second of the dealer team Commodores, taken over by Brock from John Harvey after Brock's own car went out with motor problems. Another driver forcing his way back up through the field, Peter McLeod and Graham Bailey. Little adventurous there in the Slick 50 Mazda RX-7. Still very fast, carrying the legacy of a touch early in the race. Into the pits came young Tasmanian David Parsons. Peter Jansen was socialising in the pits, had to throw his helmet on, and the first time when Cherry wasn't right, Peter Jansen went back out to take over his own car. But that all ended in almost disaster. The engine blew, he spun on his own oil, kissed the wall with the front of the car, and that was it for Jansen. Well, the smoking problem wasn't confined to Peter Jansen's car. Although it left a lot of oil on the circuit and certainly a lot of smoke. Looking quite sore and sorry about it, David Parsons, only to see the second car, the Camaro, in trouble, and Peter Jansen, who was able to laugh it all off. Then the great scrap that we're still enjoying. Peter Brock in front, Alan Moffat in second place, but they're not running necessarily in that order coming through the corner. The James Hardie 1000 will take a break and then return live to Mount Panorama at Bathurst. 1000 live from Mount Panorama at Bathurst. Well, we've been following this dice between Peter Brock and Alan Moffat for the past 5 or 10 laps, keeping an eye on how the sprint is going down Conrod Straight. Moffat will move to the inside, Brock challenges, and then they reverse positions at the end of the straight.
Peter Brock putting another lap on the 4th place getter, the Slick 50 Mazda.
Well, that should excite Graham Bailey. He wouldn't want another lap put on him. That's not the place to park at Mount Panorama. Manson in trouble, heading up to the cutting. Unfortunately, they have a good view, a clear view of Manson coming up to that point. Moffat through the cutting. Brock. And then back behind them, Peter McLeod. But how close are these two drivers? I know we've talked through the last few laps with them, but they are providing the spectators here. They certainly have the people on the top of the mountain and along pit straight cheering themselves hoarse every time they come past.
They won't have much voice left if this keeps up. Still waiting to see what is Brock going to do. Pit stop must be taken very shortly. Larry Perkins is ready, if required, to get into the car. But remember, no radio communication, so they haven't been able to ask Brock what his intention is. I mean, it's a bit hard to signal all that with lap boards and flashing lights. So Larry is ready, if necessary.
They come down Conrod Straight. Once again, that two-car formation, Alan Moffat and Peter Brock. Let's go to the pit area now to Evan Green.
Well, we're honoured to have as our official guest at Mount Panorama today the Prime Minister of Australia, Mr. Bob Hawke. And Bob, you've arrived here at a very interesting stage of the race.
Yes, it's fascinating, isn't it?
Well, it looks as though Peter Brock is about to go in for a pit stop.
Pit stop, yeah.
But he and Alan Moffat have been staging this dice for a while. Just to recapitulate, Brocky at the back is 1 lap ahead of Alan Moffat, but they're such deadly rivals that neither man will give to the other. And there's something symbolic about this. You have an imported car on the track just a little bit ahead of an Australian one.
Yeah. Well, certainly got the attention of the crowd.
I think we've got Peter Brock in the pits.
Is he?
Alan Moffat is, yes, Brock is in the pit, so let's just watch this action.
Sure.
It's very important to see whether he's going to change over or whether Larry Perkins will change over. I think Brock is going to stay. They're changing wheels and tyres. They're giving a drink to Peter because it is so hot out there that they are dehydrating.
Yeah, sure.
A driver in a race like this will lose as much as 10 pounds or more than 3 kilograms.
Is that right?
of weight. It's a grueling effort.
What's the temperature here today?
It's about 30 degrees.
30,
much more inside the car.
Yeah, sure.
So Peter Brock is staying in the car. They're refueling, adding the churns of fuel, putting new tyres on because they can do that very quickly without a lot of time. Brock is staying in the car.
What's this, about a minute to change, is it?
Yes, well, we have the stopwatch going there.
Of course, sorry, yeah.
So 36 seconds stop. And there he goes.
That's
Peter Brock.
efficiency for you.
That's a quick stop, yes. To me, the race represents much that is good about Australia. It's a mixture of high technology, of manufacture, of enthusiasm, of sportsmanship, and of sheer industrial guts. People get there. We've got cases like Dick Johnson and his crew who worked all night to build a new car to be here. And
he was so lucky, wasn't he, really, to get out of it the way he did?
Yes, it was a dreadful crash. Let me treat you a bit like a tourist who's just arrived in the country. You know the classic question, what do you think of Australia? You've just arrived at Mount Panorama. What do you think of the James Hardy 1000?
It's the first time I've been, Evan, and you put your finger on it. It's got everything. It's got sheer sporting ability. It's got the technology. It's got the team effort. Marvellous, makes you proud.
Well, to me, it represents so much that is correct about modern Australia. We're a sporting nation. It's a sporting event. We are very technologically minded, as the Australia 2 Conquest showed.
Absolutely.
And we've got some good drivers. There's people like Jack Brabham and Alan Jones, Peter Brock, Alan Moffat, and others that showed for years.
Yeah, and it's not only the technology on there. The ATN7 coverage of this is a great illustration of the lead in technology that we have in that area. I mean, as I understand from what I've been reading, what you call the race cams, you've got in 3 cars, haven't you?
Yes.
Well, you've provided the lead in the world, haven't you?
Yes, they do lead the world. In fact, when America wanted to adopt a similar system to cover big races like the Daytona, they brought the Australians over.
Yeah, that's great.
And every year, Jeff Healy and the team, John Porter, the man who's devised it, they go across to America and show the Americans how to use this equipment. There's a flag marshal now. There are 700 officials from the Australian Racing Drivers Club here helping. They do everything from take tickets and clean up the place to do the very critical job of waving flags, each with a different colour, and to give a different meaning to the drivers, so the drivers can be warned of what lies ahead. Yeah. Now, most of them are volunteers.
That's absolutely fantastic, giving so much enjoyment not only to the 45,000 people here, but you're going to every capital city now, with Darwin being in for the first year, so every capital city and every regional station, I think.
Every station that has a commercial station here is getting this picture.
You got any estimate of how many people will be watching?
A conservative figure is 6 million.
Yeah, that's great service you're providing.
Yeah. And of course it goes around the world as well. It'll be seen in America, in Britain, in Hong Kong, Singapore, New Zealand, and many other places where they like motor
racing. It's a great tribute to your organisation, what you've done here. Absolutely.
Now, you're going to be presenting the main prizes.
Yep, that's right.
Well, I'm not quite sure who's going to win it. The two are in contention.
Well, we've got a lot of excitement in front of us before that happens, Evan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, if there's one thing that's true about the race here at Mount Panorama, it is never over till the checkered flag is out. There have been many cases of last-minute dramas. We had the case back in 1976 when Bob Morris and John Fitzpatrick, an English driver, won.
That's right.
Where Fitzy had to nurse the car to the line with the smoking differential. He just made it.
That's one of the very few occasions when an overseas driver's taken it out, isn't it?
That's right, yes, indeed. Rano Altman, the Finnish driver, was the first back in 1966. Then John Fitzpatrick. Jackie Ix partnered Alan Moffat.
Moffat had to take it over the line in the end, didn't he?
That's right. No, it's a great race. It does capture public imagination.
Certainly does.
We go to all parts of Australia, and all parts of Australia come here. If you were to walk up on the mountain and see the crowd here, you'd find people from Darwin and Perth.
Well, I've already seen that coming in. People telling me of the various parts of Australia they come from, even.
Yes. Look at this man drive. Peter Brock, he's an Australian. He's been driving for many years now. He's, what, 38?
He started in 69, I think, didn't he, here?
Only as a young fellow. He used to race, of all things, an Austin A30 with a hole and engine in it.
Is that right?
Which it must have been like trying to balance a ballpoint pen. And look at the way he drives. He is a superb driver. Absolutely. It's very fast, but so cool and unflurried. He's one of the world's great car drivers, I've no doubt. He never went overseas, or very rarely. He hasn't gone such as Jack Brabham did or Alan Jones to race in Formula One. But as far as touring cars, which are Peter's speciality, he'd have to be in the top rank. You maybe would put 3 or 4 other people around the world in the same class.
Is that right? Yeah, that's great credit to him.
Alan Moffat, Canadian-born, been here. He raced first in 1964. a much different character to Peter. Peter is very not carefree, but very relaxed.
That's right. Yeah.
Alan is much more intense, but a great driver and a great sportsman as well, and certainly has been following a pioneering path, trying to get the Mazda RX-7 to the winner's circle.
I met Peter at the football the other day. He's an avid Collingwood fan, and he had a very large win over the Swans that day. I think he'd like to have the same margin today.
Well, it's time for us to break for commercial requirements. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to congratulate ATN and 7 again. As I've said, it's a magnificent technological achievement that you've made. You're not only here in Australia, but you're leading the world. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan Green, and thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. The great race continues. We'll be taking a break and returning live to Mount Panorama for some more racing. With scoreboard here at Mount Panorama, and of course to Texas Instruments, who play such an integral part of our 26 camera coverage of the 1983 James Hardy 1000.
And we mentioned, of course, that car number 41 is in 11th place outright. I should also point out that car 55, Barry and Glenn Seaton, in car 55, the yellow Capri, not only are they the class leaders in the 3-litre class 2 laps down, but they are in 15th position outright. 6 is in the pits, Alan Grice, and there is going to be a driver change. Colin Bond is going to go back in the car.
Not sure.
No, yes, he is. Grice is out. It must be hard work out there for Grice to give up the drive at this stage of the race.
Well, there's still
2 laps down in 3rd place.
but still 1 lap up on Peter McLeod's entry, so they have to get out quickly to consolidate the 3rd place that they're holding in the race. They can't really afford to have a very long pit stop. Looks like a topping up process, and also checking to see if they're working on the brakes again. Yes, they are. Brock Moffat, Bryce McLeod. That was the signal that just went out to Alan Moffat from his crew.
Still working there and having difficulty getting Colin Bond strapped in properly, and also the bonnet is up, the wheel at the front isn't on. They've got a problem, a real problem. Time is ticking away. Now the McLeod Slick 50 Mazda can't be far off. In fact, it's going through now past the start-finish line, and that'll put him into 3rd place on the racetrack. Peter McLeod, Graham Bailey, the Slick 50 Mazda RX-7, by our calculations now moves into 3rd spot on the racetrack. The STP Commodore still in the pits.
Still working on front nuts on the wheel, and I think Colin Bond is ready to resume. Yes, out goes Colin Bond, taking over from Alan Grice after a fairly lengthy pit stop. 135 laps have been completed. And we'll confirm for you whether McLeod has in fact. McLeod was down a couple of laps. He's got to check on his last pit stop to bring you up to date. We'll do that in the next lap around the circuit. But Bond has returned to the racetrack. Race still led by Peter Brock. We expect Alan Moffat back into the pits for his final pit stop within the next 2 laps, and we'll be covering that for you.
I've done Bill O'Brien and Brian Sampson a disservice in car 26, the Everlast battery service entry, by saying that Alf Grant and David Selden were the only surviving XD Falcon in the race, because Bill and Brian are still out there circulating in their big Falcon. But not as well placed as Grant and Selden, who are now up into 7th spot, although a number of laps down, of course.
Warren Cullen moving up on Alan Grice, a section of the big crowd here at Mount Panorama. Obviously a lot of Holden supporters up in the top part of the mountain. There's Colin Bond going through. Warren Cullen trying to see if he can put a lap on Grice and pull himself back up through the field again. They're both past a slower car there. Down through the S's.
RX-7 now between Bronk and Moffat. Grice. Bond at the wheel, rather. Colin Bond at the wheel of the STP car. Still waiting clarification. McLeod definitely went through in the Slick 50 RX-7, but that didn't haul him, didn't overhaul Grice. In fact, although he went through once, he didn't unlap himself.
Scotty Taylor.
And they're on the same lap now, but the STP Commodore is still, in fact, in third place.
Taylor Kennedy Commodore being push-started out of the pit area. Been in and out several times. That didn't work. Going to pull the hood up and see if they can do something to get it running. A few anxious moments for the driver. Well, a pit stop and a lengthy one for the number 24 Commodore crew. There are 29 cars running on lap number 135, the James Hardy 1000 Classic. We'll take a break and return live to Mountain Panorama.
In the great race, Alan Moffat in car 43 is a minute 28.5 seconds behind Peter Brock in the lead car, the dealer team Commodore. He must make a pit stop soon. His pit crew are ready. They're standing there waiting. When is he going to come in?
It must be within the next lap or so. They were all standing out on the edge of the pit road. I notice Adiyama is
hopefully standing there.
Team manager Alan Forsley.
I reckon that Katayama's got as much chance of getting in that car as me.
Soon see. George Fury keeping on the pace, allowing for the time that they spent in the pits earlier today. There's the vehicle pointing to the drivers.
Another big Falcon going through. Gary Wilmington still circulating. Moffat on his tail. Good to see the Everlast car still going. Wilmington has done great stuff through the year at Amaru Park, has turned in some of the fastest laps ever recorded round there in a V8. He signals Moffat, go round me, pal, if you can.
Oh, there wasn't much room there, I'll tell you. I don't know if the invitation was that supposed to be that close. But here's Alan Moffat in car number 43. George Fury was following fairly close behind, but has been caught up there in the manoeuvre past Wilmington. Now it comes into view. Moffat coming down towards the S's. Through there, rather, now to Forest Elbow. Comes out onto Conrod Straight.
He leads the 6 Mazdas surviving in the race out of 16 that started. Graham Bailey is still there in car number 50. Barry Jones is still there in 41. Tony Mulverhill and John Murden are still there in 51. Car 43 is also a survivor. Obviously, that's Alan Moffat, the leader of the brigade. Car 37, Terry Shield in the Eurocar's entry, still going strong, although a fair way down. And car number 35 doing extremely well into the top 10 on the leaders board, Phil Alexander and Ron Gillard.
Another lap. The crew stand out and the
lights are on, yeah.
It's the signal. So they're obviously working through the signals rather than the communication. Again, another team. All that not really required unless it's used as a safety measure to reinforce the fact that he would be in within a lap.
Well, I think there has been a little confusion with the use of two-way radio communication between pit and entries in the past, Mike, simply because of the number of entries and the huge disturbance factor involved. There's been some difficulty with communication. And some of them have gone back to the tried and true method.
Well, as has been pointed out earlier, that's exactly what the dealer team, the Marlborough Holden dealer team, did in their approach to their races this year. And it would seem that maybe they're reinforcing this with the Alan Moffat Mazda team. Time you have everyone trying to get onto the same frequency. Bathurst with so many different teams and a lot of cars that don't even make the race. Be fairly hectic. The Ortex radar signal coming out from the straight again signals that car number 25, Peter Brock, running at 259 kilometres an hour. Down Conrod Straight the last time. Alan Moffat 255, a 4 kilometre difference. On that basis, Peter Brock is 1 minute 28.7 seconds ahead of Alan Moffat.
In the 3-litre class, the Seatons are still doing it, and comfortably. 2 laps ahead in that class, car 55, the Capri of Barry and Glenn Seaton. Second place getter in the class is car number 64, Les Gross and Alan Cant, also in a Capri, and Ray Gulson and Gerard Murphy in car 58, a third in the under 3-litre class. The Audi was up there with Chris Heyer and Don Bretland earlier, but they've since disappeared off the 3-litre leaders board.
Coming in for what could be the critical pit stop of the race. Alan Moffat in second place behind Peter Brock on the road, moves into pit bay number 1. Katayama, his co-driver, stands by to see if he's required. Trying to see if the door will open. Or are they talking to Moffat? At this stage, it would seem we'll cross down to Peter Werrett to cover this.
That quit stop was about, heaven only knows, but it was too fast to be anything other than half a litre or so of fuel, and Moffat did play around with the seat belts and then did them all back up again and jumped back in the car and took off. So it was a very fast stop, and he needed to make it. He couldn't afford to lose any time on that stop at all.
Thank you, Peter Werrett.
Moffat back out in about 15 seconds, although he'd have lost a little more than that in the slowdown and the pickup. Getting back on the track, he was a minute 30 behind Peter Brock, so I think we can safely say it's about 2 minutes now. Jim Keogh in the pits again in the number 12 Toshiba Commodore entry. That'll cost him a place. He was in 6th spot behind the Harrington STP Commodore. And 6th spot now, in fact, has been taken by car number 27, so it's the highest place XD Falcon in the race. Alf Grant and David Selden. By gee, they're doing a good job to keep that big car going, and have now moved up as high as 6th position. I ought to mention too that car, the David Selden car, is the former Dick Johnson car, the old True Blue Falcon that they're running. Car number 27, the Alf Grant and David Selden car, is the ex-Dick Johnson True Blue, so it's still going strong.
Alan Moffat coming down, of course, into Forest Elbow. Let's cross over to the pits and to Evan Green.
I have one of the internationals in the field here, Rod Millen, formerly from New Zealand, now from America. You've done mainly rallying in your life, Rod. How do you find the transition to Mount Panorama?
Fabulous track. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's a very demanding track. We've had a great time all week.
You've always enjoyed going quickly over mountains. I recall rallying against you in New Zealand. I don't think I've ever seen anyone who was so fast over those icy-coloured tracks on the South Island. Maybe you could do a bit of ice here today.
Well, on this race, we're running on Goodrich street tyres, so it's a little bit like driving on ice all the time. I'm not putting down the tyre. It's just that this is a tyre that you can buy off the shelf, and it certainly keeps your wits up all the time.
Did you and Barry Jones severely handicap yourself by agreeing to be the only car in the race running ordinary street radials?
We handicapped ourselves a little bit. We knew we'd be a little slower, but being a long race, a hard race, that we figured we'll have a reasonable showing at the end.
How busy is your program in America?
Well, our program consists of about 13 events running from mid-February to end of December, with about 70,000 miles of traveling across the country. It keeps us very busy.
You drive an RX-3, but you developed your own four-wheel drive version of it.
That's the RX-7, yes.
Yeah.
Using exactly the same engine as we were using here and the Moffat team is using. It's an exceptionally interesting car to drive. It handles quite a lot different to the cars here, but it still hangs the tail out a bit.
Well, by the sparkle in their eyes, I say that Rod Millen was enjoying himself at Bathurst.
Fabulous time.
Good. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Evan Green. Looking up on the cars coming down. That was the car that we're referring to, the 41 car, being driven today by Barry Jones and Rod Millen. Evan was just speaking to a few moments ago.
In 10th spot now. At the front of the race, Peter Brock, 2 minutes and 2 seconds lead over Alan Moffat with 141 laps completed.
There's the scene, the spaces, the long spaces of Conrod Straight. Well, the real race still continues. Anything can happen right down to the checkered flag. We'll take a break and return live to Mount Panorama for the James Hardy 1000. Live from Mount Panorama at Bathurst on the 7 Network. Coming into the pits and trailing smoke on the approach was Warren Cullen.
Warren Cullen was right on the pace in the early stages of the race, and in fact on lap 22, his car number is 22, he held down second place behind Alan Grice and ahead of Moffat, Morris and the Richards BMW, but I'm afraid I don't think he's going to see out the day today.
Doesn't look that way. They've had a topsy-turvy day.
Car 38.
And of course is the Stack Jennings entry. Bernie Stack from Adelaide. And of course motoring rider Jennings also from South Australia. So he'll have a lot to write about after this one's over.
This is the one that's largely sponsored by the town of Gawler in South Australia. The people of the town themselves have put a lot of money into this car. Bernie Stack, born in London, started motor racing in Formula V's, having the time of his life, as is Bob Jennings. This is a bit more exciting, no disrespect, than riding for the Adelaide Advertiser. Prime Minister, Mr. Bob Hawke, has now joined us in our commentary position here in the Hodgson Tower, and you seem to be enjoying yourself.
Oh, absolutely. It's the first time for me, and as I've been trying to say to people, it's not only the thrill of the sport, but again, you see the magnificent achievement of Australians in the field of technology out here on the track and what's involved there, and also in your great coverage of ATN7. I hadn't realised until I just read a little bit about it on the way here how you led the world. You've taught the Americans with your technology. They've been using ours. I think that's marvellous. I think twice in a week.
When you say first time at Bathurst or first time motor racing ever?
First time motor racing ever, really. I mean, I've enjoyed watching it. I've never really had time to go and physically be there. And I've said to a number of people the difference between seeing it on television and the atmosphere of being here, it's indescribable.
I often have difficulty making sense out of the uproar and confusion in Parliament. Do you have that problem here?
I don't think the speaker can do any good for you here.
Pretty hard to restore.
Yeah, I reckon. Anyway, who wants to restore it? It's just beautiful the way it is.
It's one of the great racetracks of the world, there's no doubt about it.
Beautiful, and what's so marvellous is the way the country's come back now with the drought breaking and it's flying in here. It is just beautiful, the side of the country. When you think 6 months ago it was just a dust bowl.
Car 15, just going along the pit road there, is George Fury, and Bluebird that carries one of our race cameras. It hasn't been a happy day, unfortunately, for the Nissan team. There's the aerial shot from our Channel 7 helicopter. That's car 38, Bernie Stack again, going across the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's only 5 years ago, you know, that we perfected this and had people gasping for breath and wondering, you know, saying that it could never be beaten.
But I just think it's quite magnificent, really, that you've developed this technique, ADN7, and the Americans have just said, well, look, we want to take it from you, and that just shows you what you can do.
They keep inviting us over there and having a close look while we're there, but they still can't copy it.
Well, you've got a sort of shroud around it like the keel, have you?
I think that's a good idea. I think we'll keep it there too if we can. This is a great duel, although they're in separate parts of the track right now. But these two men have dominated this race, as you no doubt aware, Brock and Moffat, over the years.
That's right.
They've been almost as dominant as you've been in recent years.
Well. What's the... He's still got overlap on him, though, hasn't he?
Car 25 is in front with Brock at the wheel, 2 minutes and 2 seconds, which is about 4/5 of a lap.
4/5 of a lap, yeah. They're doing about 2:20, 2:22 on the average.
Yeah, 2:21, 2:21 plus is about the average lap time at this stage of the race. They've both made their final pit stops.
Yeah.
And it'll be go for a break from here to the finish. And I guess Moffat hoping against hope that Brock might make a mistake.
Right.
But he doesn't make too many.
He doesn't make many, does he? No.
Mr. Prime Minister, we'll leave it there just for the moment. We must return to Evan Green for further information in the pits. We thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much indeed.
In the pits, Evan Green.
Car 38 is in the pits. This is the community effort, the car that all of the town of Gawler in South Australia is behind. Bernie Stack just getting in the car and helping him now to adjust the seatbelts is rookie here at Bathurst, but long-time motoring editor on the Adelaide Advertiser, Bob Jennings. Bob just bending over, adjusting the seatbelts. You know, it's a remarkable thing to see a whole town get behind one of its sons, that's Bernie Stack, and give him the financial support and the moral support to go racing at Bathurst. That's what they've done. There are parties all over Gawler today to watch Bernie in action. They've had all sorts of problems, but they typify the spirit of so many competitors here by keeping on. They've changed gearboxes, differentials, they're still going. Bob just telling him how the car is, telling him what lies around the track. Bernie's now on his way. I'll just speak to Bob before he goes. I was just saying, Bob, that it's a great effort as far as the people of Gawler in getting behind this entry.
Fantastic effort by the people of Gawler, Evan. Also by the mechanics who have kept the car running today. They've changed so far a differential and cured a fuel starvation problem caused by stuff in the fuel tank.
What makes people keep on going when they know they can't win, they know they're hopelessly out of the pace in terms of number of laps? Why do they keep on going with the enthusiasm they show?
It's got me whacked up. Enthusiasm. These boys have been for the past 3 or 4 nights. They're still going, they're still enthusiastic.
Bob, you've done a lot of driving, you've been all over the world, but it's your first time at Mount Panorama. What's it like?
Fabulous. I'm down there for a few more laps.
Okay, we'll let you go and have a drink. You look pretty hot. Bob Jennings with Bernie Stack in car 38, a car that the people of Gawler brought to Bathurst, and they can be well and truly proud of the effort the fellas have put into it. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Evan. Yes, indeed, they probably are. To see the cars still out there and circulating around. There's our race leader. Still 2 minutes 4 seconds on the road in front of Alan Moffat, number 43. The king of the mountain, they call him, Peter Brock. Number 47, that's the Brian Callahan, Barry Graham car going into the pits, being hoisted up. Driver change affected. Barry Graham stepping out of the car and Brian Callahan stepping back in. First time at Bathurst for Barry Graham.
The earlier model too, the XE Falcon.
Yes, they've done a fair job. They had a problem at the start of the race, but they're back on the road again. Brian Callahan has been here for the past few years, a very strong Ford campaigner, and 23rd outright, we believe, for the 2 oval track races.
By the way, the Motorola $500 a shot lap money is going very fast to Brock. Let's go down now to Barry Graham and to Evan Green.
It looks hot, Barry. It must be different to the dirt.
Yes, it is a bit. The car's running quite good, and I'm really enjoying it. Just a shame we lost a few laps this morning with a broken lower control arm, but we're hanging in there, and you know, I hope I can get a drive and come back next year, because it's one hell of a place.
How does it compare with the Speedway?
There's no comparison whatsoever. There's not really. It's a whole new ball game. I just had to learn all over again. The only thing that's in common is probably reflexes.
It must be hard for a champion in one sport as you are to adjust to a circuit that's so different and so difficult.
Well, it is. I'm a long way from learning it yet.
Just watch Terry Shields' car being wheeled away, by the way. We've had a couple of withdrawals. Terry is out. Let me see. I've got the information. Gearbox is the problem. And the Warren Cullen Holden Commodore, which went so well, is also out. Differential problem. Bad luck for those 2 cars, but good luck as far as Barry Graham is concerned. And back to you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Evan Green. Bad luck indeed for Terry Shield, the Eurocars Mazda, a strong supporter and a front runner at Amaroo Park. Let's take a look at the wins scoreboard. were presented by Wynn's Automotive Products. In the lead spot, the Harvey, Brock and Perkins Commodore. In second place, Moffat and Katayama in the Mazda RX-7. Grice and Bond in third in the Commodore. Then followed by McLeod and Bailey in the Mazda RX-7. Then comes the second of the STP cars, Harrington and Wigston in the Commodore. Back behind them, Jim Keogh and Leo Leonard in the Commodore. The Grant Selden Falcon XD. Alexander and Gillard in the Mazda RX-7. Then French and Morris in the Commodore. And the Harrison Cook entry. Good to see them up also in a Commodore. That's the Wynn's Automotive Products scoreboard. Of course, information coming from Texas Instruments. Going past Barry Seaton is our race leader, Peter Brock.
They're 2 laps up in the class. Car 55, the Capri of the Seatons, as we've mentioned. In the 3-litre class, well clear of car 64, Les Gross and Alan Cant in a Capri. And third place in the 3-litre class is car 58, Gulson and Murphy in an Alfa Romeo. And the Seatons in 15th place outright. So a great job in, as we've mentioned, this oh-so-durable race car, the Capri.
There's Peter Brock down through the mountain. Just putting a lap on Barry Seaton. They lead the small car class. We'll take a break and then return live for the James Hardy 1000 at Mount Panorama Bathurst. At Bathurst, we're following Barry Seaton. Great little scrap going on here between these 2 Ford Capris coming over the mountain. Barry and Glenn Seaton sharing the driving chores. Oh, is that trouble? Yes, no sooner had we said it, and Barry Seaton looks like he has lost an engine. They were the leaders in the class.
They certainly were, and I think that's not going to prevail much longer. Engine certainly gone down towards Forest Elbow. And what a disappointment. Barry Seaton in the car. Glenn, his son, having handed over to him about 10 laps back, 10 or 12 laps ago. And they were 2 laps in the lead in the under 3-litre class and running in 14th or 15th position outright. It had been a tremendous effort on their part, and it's all gone up, if you'll pardon the expression, in smoke.
It's not often you have a father-son combination at Bathurst with the experience and the winning form of Barry Seaton and such promising form of a young lad like Glenn Seaton. Must be a great disappointment for him in the pits, probably watching this on the monitor.
That puts car 64 in the lead in the under 3-litre class, and that's yet another Capri. Les Gross and Alan Cant. Second placing in the class is 58, Ray Gulson and Gerard Murphy in the Alfa Romeo, and third place in the under 3-litre class is car 63. Well, 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 he's still going strong. Chris Hires, Audi 5 plus 5.
Well, it would appear that...
Gee, the speed of the other cars is unbelievable from that shot, isn't it? They just fly past there.
Glenn Seaton probably with a couple of laps up, thinking first time to Bathurst, coming up with a class win, but following all the smoke.
The pit crew don't know what has happened. I think they're standing by with fuel churns. Oh, no, that's Grice. Oh, a couple of quick churns of fuel for Grice. In fact, Grice is in the pits. Grice is coming in for some fuel. No, it's not. It's Harrington. It's Harrington in 5th position outright as we continue to follow Seaton to the bottom of Conrad and pick up there on the second place getter, Moffat. Pushing hard as he follows up on car 32, the TAA RX-7.
Through Forest Elbow is Rusty French just ahead of him, and the John Sands Commodore, number 4. 10 Commodores still running in this year's James Hardy 1000. And here's the arrival back at the pit area for Barry Seaton. It's like team manager there, Peter Green. Barry said, I don't know what's wrong with it. That's if it's not running, but it's certainly going to need some oil.
What a disappointment. Barry Seaton, one of the real veterans of racing here at Mount Panorama, steps from the car. Somebody else has expired. It's car 47, Callahan.
Could be just cement dust on the road. Might have a tyre problem. They've come in for a pit stop. Replace the wheel and tyre.
Yes, right rear. They've chewed it up somewhere around the circuit. Take it Irvin Green.
Full flat, but it's costing Brian Callahan a lot of time. You can see the sort of shape the tyre was in. Right down to the rim. Callahan in there. Gives me a bit of a wave, but he's really fast. They don't want to lose time at this stage of the race. Just tightening up the rear wheel. There's a lot of broken glass up around the cutting, a few drivers have told me, and it may have been that sliced through the tyre and forced him into the pits. One more nut to do and the car be ready to go. It's clear, and away goes the Callahan Falcon. Tail slewing as he goes racing out, leaving a great deposit of water on the track, but he's back in the race.
The battle at the head of the race is between Peter Brock and Alan Moffat. Brock is on top. Who is on top in the Davis Cup semi-final battle at White City between Australia and France? Let's find. He won both his singles matches. Australia winning the tie, 3 rubbers to 1 into the Davis Cup final. Back on the racetrack, Alan Moffat has got a lot of hard work to do if he wants to be a winner here today, with 150 laps gone in the great race for 1983. And by the way, that ticks up another $500 worth of Motorola lap money. And P. Brock in car number 25 takes the money again. So he's picked up $1,000, $2,000, $2,500 of Motorola's money. Gricey's got 500 for leading through the early 25 lap mark.
Moffat coming up, putting another lap on the Audi, and still trying to pull up that 2 minutes 13 gap that Peter Brock holds over him. Seen from the VIP centre here at Mount Panorama. VIP suites along the pit straight. The Prime Minister, Mr. Bob Hawke, obviously enjoying his day at the motor races with Ted Thomas, the manager of ATN Channel 7 in Sydney, and the other guests. Once again, the Toshiba car is about to be gathered up by Alan Moffat as they race down Conrod Straight. Here they come, halfway down Conrod, and here he goes, the outside. Moffat going through, and here's another group following them as Moffat comes down for the completion of another lap into Murray's Corner. Through the gears, and Moffat still maintaining the same pace that he has for the past 10 laps. Has gone through to take over the lead, as we mentioned, in the 3-litre class. 151 laps completed in the race. The gap still the same, and the order the same. Peter Brock, the race leader. Alan Moffat in second place. Alan Grice and Peter McLeod. They're the top 4. Along the Prudential Assurance Straight up to GTX Bend. And the high whining peripheral ported Mazda RX-7. Very, very tidy indeed as Moffat. Every lap always looks the same. He makes it look ever so easy. Coming out of the cutting, heading up now again to the top of the mountain. Good shot of as our Channel 7 chopper follows through the Alan Moffat Mazda RX-7. Still running in second place on the road behind Peter Brock. Very clean lines. Total professional, Alan Moffat. Conrod Straight again for Alan Moffat. Every gear change is crisp. Every line is perfect. The lonely drive from second place. Checking the radar Vortex stop. 252.6 kilometres an hour for Alan Moffat that time. Down Conrod Straight. Between first and second, here we have the Ken Matthews car. That's the Today FM car and Topfer. And I think Ken has gone up to join the spectators. Now there's some average Aussie spectators at Mount. I think it's the original norm, isn't it? Anyway. If you've gone through that much racing and suffered the disappointment of not finishing in the James Hardy 1000, why not? Up to the top of the mountain again for Alan Moffat. Mike Bergman car still running. Gene Cook, for our Tasmanian viewers, still running strongly with John Walker after losing ground at the early part of the race. Alan Moffat, gain on the outside. Very fast line through that corner. Through Forest Elbow. And away goes Moffat again down Conrod Straight. Giving you the radar times of Alan Moffat, still running very competitively. In second place, but poised to strike should anything go wrong with our race leader, Peter Brock. So Peter Brock still leading. Here's a sample of the big crowd in attendance. We'll take a pause and then return to Mount Panorama for the James Hardy 1000. And to the James Hardy 1000. There's Andrew Harris and Gary Cook in car number 9. Keeping in mind, this Commodore was in fact car number 28 yesterday, and Barry Lawrence, a Queenslander, and Jeff Russell from Casino were to have driven the car, but in what changed place last night in the Dick Johnson rebuild, the car has wound up with Andrew Harrison Cook running it today, and running very, very strongly with about 10 laps remaining in the 1983 James Hardy 1000. Might be time to recap the events of the past hour in the great race.
Sixth hour of the James Hardy 1000 saw the great duel between Moffat and Brock. Brock actually in front by almost a lap on the racetrack, but these two dogged each other for lap after lap, trying to force each other into error, neither man giving way. Prime Minister Bob Hawke enjoying the action in the pit studio, talking to Evan Green and watching on the monitors as those two men, the heroes of Bathurst, circulated round the track. Then in they came for a quick pit stop. Fuel. Check the tyres. Perkins checks with Brock, gives him a drink. Can you last to the finish? No trouble. Dick Johnson, big disappointments for him again at Mount Panorama this year, but he certainly enjoyed a chat with the Prime Minister. Whilst at the top of the mountain, Barry Jones circulated in the Goodrich RX-7 car, 41, running on radials, and right in on the tail of the top 10 positions. Meantime, Alan Grice in the car. The STP Commodore handed over to Colin Bond. Bondi heading out to keep the flag flying for them, holding down third spot in the race. Then Moffat into the pits for a very quick fuel stop indeed. Check the safety harness, something there he didn't like. Clean the window. In goes a churn, 2 churns of fuel, and this will last Moffat to the finish. Out he goes to rejoin the great race. A lot of ground to make on Peter Brock. Goodbye, Warren Cullen. Had been second early in the race, but that certainly looked terminal. Their car 38, the Commodore from Gawler in South Australia. Bernie Stack and Bob Jennings driving for the town. Disappointment for Terry Shield, who tried hard, was in and out of the pits on several occasions with handling problems. Handling problem there for Ken Matthews in the two-day car. It wasn't his day, the number 19 Commodore, and it wasn't to be the day for the Seatons. Father and son, Barry and Glenn, class leaders by 2 laps in car 55, the Capri, 15th outright when the engine blew. Sad day. And Brian Callahan in the big XE Falcon with tyre troubles, a costly pit stop.
And welcome back to Mount Panorama after Gary has updated the progress of the past hour of the James Hardie 1000. Here's a familiar sight. Callahan car leads up, then followed, of course, by the Alan Moffat RX-7. And just look who was coming in behind. Peter Brock.
Yes, Brock leads Moffat at this stage by, I would say, about 2 minutes, 20.7 seconds. Another fraction of a second, and he'll be a lap up on him if he can get by. So this is the situation that we had earlier in the 6th hour of the great race, when 25 Brock was in front, and still is, and was sitting on the tail trying to put a lap on Alan Moffat, and he's still trying to do it.
Getting a little more spirited. Moffat still in the 2nd place, and Peter Brock with about 9 laps or so, 9 3/4 laps still remaining to the finish. Doesn't really want to get himself involved in anything that could prove costly in the way of wanting to race someone who's already 2 minutes 20 seconds on the road behind him. Crowd would love this, though, the sight of Peter Brock pulling back in Alan Moffat as they approach Conrod Straight. Brock's done a great job here today, coming back from being out of the race, so to speak, in the 05 car. Great understanding on the part of John Harvey, who will also be listed as a co-winner of the 3-car, the 3-driver team of the dealer squad here today at Bathurst. There's Peter Brock on the outside, but we'll see if Moffat comes back again on the inside, as one would expect him to do. In the lighter car. Maybe Brock just wants to let the crowd see now that he's ready to do some racing. Is he waving again? 7 laps remaining. And the crowd along pit straight just think that is absolutely marvellous.
Well, he's got him again. A lap up is Peter Brock on Alan Moffat. 1-2 in the great race for 83 as we check the positions 1 to 10 on the win scoreboard. There it is, Brock in front in the dealer team Commodore 43, the RX-7, Alan Moffat. Then Colin Bond at the wheel of the STP Commodore number 6. Harrington Wigston, Commodore number 14, is in 4th place, and 5th place held down by Peter McLeod and Graham Bailey in the Slick 50 Mazda RX-7. Position 6, Jim Pierre's Commodore, then Grant and Selden, the highest placed Falcon XD, car 27. Alexander and Gillard, another RX-7, so there are 3 of them in the top 10, car 35. French and Morris, Rusty French at the wheel of the car, the Sands Commodore number 4, and then Harris and Cook also in a Commodore filling out 10th spot, the top 10 on the win scoreboard in the great race with 6.5 laps to go for the race leader, Peter Brock.
And Brock, the cheers have already started on the top of Mount Panorama. The flags are flying. You can hear that on top of the mountain. Alan Moffat going through. The Brock salute, they call it. And they've started early, Gary, about 6 laps early.
Well, Brocky's picked up that lap, got by Moffat as he went round on the bottom of the circuit. So this is the first time the people on the mountain have seen that. And not only has he got past, Brock is opening up a very appreciable gap here now. I mean, has he been toying with Moffat? Has he just been sitting in there lurking, trying to push him? And now he says, well, look, we're coming up. It's about 6 laps to go. I just might go for broke here, go for home. Put the foot down, and boy, is he steaming down Conrod Straight. Car 25, remembering that Brock started the day in the pride of the team, 05. But 0.5, unfortunately, was not to see the distance. In fact, it didn't see very much distance at all in today's great race. And Brock was forced to wheel the car in with the terminal problem on lap 7, the car losing an awful lot of oil. It was pushed away, and Brock stepped into the number 2 car, which was scheduled to be driven by John Harvey and Phil Brock. So Harvey, Peter Brock, and Larry Perkins have in fact all shared the drive of this car, and Phil Brock sitting on the sidelines. Car number 35 is in the pits. That's the Phil Alexander Ron Gillard Tokiko entry, RX-7, and they're quite well placed. About 9th spot, I think, on the circuit at the present time. And it's a stop that they really didn't want to make at this stage of the race because somebody's under the car. In 8th spot, in fact, on the track now. It's worth noting, we mentioned earlier, what a great feat had been performed here by the STP team Commodores today, having 2 in the top 10. Not only have they got still the 2 cars in the top 10, car 6 and car 14, they're running back-to-back in 3rd and 4th places on the circuit at the moment. Colin Bond in car 6 in 3rd place, and car 14, Stephen Harrington in 4th spot.
Peter Brock. The cheers are still going as Brock comes down through the mountain. I think he has left Alan Moffat back behind.
Oh, gee, dropped him off quickly, though. Is Moffat having trouble, or has Brock been kidding to him for the last 20 or 30 laps?
The last 6 hours. There's the Nissan car further back behind, and we'll check that out for you. We've just noticed there's the Nissan going through, and Brock on Conrod Straight. Coming down, as I have fixed camera halfway down the straight, there's one of the STP cars flying past. Here comes Moffat. And that was the Barry Jones car.
Well, where is
this
Moffat?
Could be Moffat.
Well, he's got real problems. Yes, it is Moffat, and he must have. I mean, Brock can't have opened up that much in 1 lap. That's not possible.
Well, it's possibly not when you know you've got a safe second.
But he is trying hard.
Yes.
259 kilometres per hour. The radar gets Peter Brock down Conrod Straight. Five laps remaining.
Alexander and the Gillard RX-7 goes back out onto the racetrack.
And with 5 laps remaining, of the 57 cars that started, only 27 are still running. 30 had their chips. And that's one of the toughest dropout rates in this race that we've seen for many a long year.
I think almost in the history of it since the crash on the mountain, when half of them went in the early part of the race. There's Brock through BP cutting.
One of the STP cars in front of him. Brock is really putting the boot in for these last 5 laps.
Yes, he certainly hasn't spared the car. I mean, if it's still got enough in reserve, only time will tell.
If metrics aren't your go, that 259 k's down Conrod is 162 miles per hour. Nose to tail. Get over, he says.
He said it's okay. I think it might have been Colin Bond, was it?
No, it's Harrington in the second STP car. Brock is through, but Harrington went so close to the wall. Harrington didn't make it all that easy for him.
I hope that's not Harrington on the brakes, or is he pulling out to have a run at Brock as they come down Conrod Straight?
He's going to try. He's going to give it a try. He's going to try the outside line. No, he can't. No, couldn't get near him.
Now this slight incline as they come down to Murray's Corner again. Section of the huge crowd here at Mount Panorama at Bathurst watching. Oh, no one has really left. Notice Just detected a shimmer then off the Brock car. But I think that's all it was.
Okay, we watch Peter Brock coming through with only 4 laps to go in the great race of 83. We'll come back and see how he finishes it after this. The crowd cheers again as Brock spears across the top of the mountain with 2.5 laps remaining in the great race, and the great race within his grasp. A lap up on car 43, the RX-7 of Alan Moffat. 3 laps up on the third place getter, the STP Commodore, driven by Colin Bond. He is flying. The lap times are just ticking over at 2:21 plus for Brock.
Coming down to Forest Elbow, and the Peter Brock supporters have been waving their flags for the last 10 laps.
And the Peter Brock crew all gather around over there in the pit area. I think Peter Werrett is over there keeping an eye on that situation.
Well, that's not quite true. I'm actually in the pit studio looking at the monitor right at the moment, so I can join you guys in a couple of last few words.
Well, how's the race impressed you, Peter?
Oh, it's been incredible, Mike. I'm really, I think it's an astonishing motor race, but I think it says something about the concessions that were allowed to all of these cars in the last few weeks before the event. They've got faster without getting stronger. And inevitably, it had to happen that we would reach a point where the attrition rate was going to increase. You simply cannot go on getting faster and faster without also making the cars stronger. So there's a bit of a problem there. But it's been a fascinating race, and I mean, a remarkable thing for Brock is to be out of the race, literally, and to come back because he happened to be smart enough to nominate himself and cross-nominate all his drivers so that he could drive the second car. And here he is, still doing 21s, for heaven's sake.
Yes, that cross entry was carried out yesterday before the drivers' briefing for the Hardy's Heroes.
Smart idea.
So he leaves a contingency plan for just about everything.
Sure does, and so he should, of course.
Well, he's a hard man to beat on the racetrack.
Well, it's getting to the stage where it looks to me as if it's almost impossible to beat him on the racetrack.
Well, they've had a tough time this year with the new regulations and what the Commodores have been allowed and so forth, and what the RX-7s had and the BMWs. But at this particular racetrack, he is a very hard man to beat. He's got it on the board, as they say, 6 wins, staring a 7th in the face. And just look at the spectator reaction. Every time he goes across the mountain, up goes the cheers for Peter Brock.
Can't argue with his popularity, can you?
Ever.
Peter Perfect. Done it again.
I think he's going to get a hero's reception along pit road too when the time comes. He's also the popular pick with, I think, most of the other crews.
And for about the first time today, the pressure is off the pit crews, and they're all clustered around the monitors at the back of the pits now, watching the closing stages of the race. There'll be 1 lap to go across the start-finish line this time around. A lap plus on Alan Moffat, about 2 minutes 34 seconds in time.
Mike and Gary, I think it's very likely that oh, look at that form finish first. That's sending them up, I'm afraid.
They haven't lost their sense of humour.
No, not at all.
Down into Murray's corner, Peter Brock about to come through the turn. Last lap board going out, so Peter Brock starts the final lap in the James Hardy 1000 for 1983, where he likes to be, up front.
I'm not sure. I was about to say whether the Alan Moffat question is resolved. In fact, they were talking about him maybe foxing. I don't think he was. He was capable of racing at much the same lap time that he put down in practice. But as he said, that was off the pace, and it's been off the pace to the extent of just a fraction over a lap, hasn't it?
it would have certainly panned out that way, Peter. Coming up to GTX Bend. Still as smooth as the first lap he cut in the race, leading the field.
Still enjoying himself too, I bet, Mike.
Obviously. He's played racer the last 10 laps or so, picked the pace up appreciably. He's made sure that there was not another brand of car behind him at the finish. And here he is coming across the top of Mount Panorama. Hero's reception awaiting him as the spectators are up along the top of the mountain. Peter Brock, just look at the signs, the signals. And he acknowledges too. Enough time, enough concentration still to wave back to the crowds, the people who've supported him here at Mount Panorama for a long, long time.
And even the people who support somebody else simply cannot help feeling a great deal of admiration for Peter Brock.
Anybody that could win this race 6 times,
Make that
7 times.
This is number 7.
That's right. Deserves the greatest admiration.
Certainly right.
Quick wave to the cameraman. Quick wave also to the spectators. Great presence of mind. Through Forest Elbow. Only one straight to finish. That's Conrod Straight.
Arm out. Acknowledges the cheers from the crowd as he heads down Conrod for the last time. Peter Brock has certainly driven another great race in the James Hardie 1000 for 1983.
I think they're going to have to rewrite the record books for this race and this man.
There's a man that changes horse in midstream and still comes out a winner.
Working into the final corner of the James Hardie 1000 for 1983. Down through the gears. He's done it. He's put 7 on the board. Peter Brock wins the 1983 James Hardie 1000 at Mount Panorama, Bathurst. The Marlborough Holden dealer team boys are more than happy. John Harvey receiving congratulations.
New race record time, unofficially 6 hours, 28 minutes and 27 seconds. It's a touch under 4 minutes better than the previous race record time.
Well, he's done it marvellously well. Alan Moffat has off to finish in 2nd place, and 3rd place, according to our calculations through our scoring system, will go to Alan Grice, and 4th place to the Wigston Harrington, the 2nd STP car. There's Larry Perkins, who made a big contribution to this race today for Peter Brock, and John Harvey also.
He's been trying for years, but up till now hasn't cracked it. The first driver, John Harvey. A bottle of champagne from Bathurst Mayor Max Hanrahan, a kiss from the festival queen, Karen Evans, and now the man who took the 2nd stint and the last stint and has written his name even larger on the records of Bathurst, the man who's won it 7 times, Peter Brock. There's time for a shower later. A driver who's done it before with Peter Brock, Larry Perkins. Yes, very technically going for a while. We'll be talking to the drivers in just a few moments, but first, let me now introduce to you the man who really makes this race possible, and to whom this probably means most of all, Johnny Harvey. Come, John.
Evan, thank you. Well, I don't think I've enjoyed Bathurst more than what I've enjoyed this one. Had a little help, obviously. That's a joke, from both Peter and Larry. And also Philip Brock, who unfortunately didn't get a drive today, but he's part of the team and helped all the way through the week to today's win. It's obviously Commodore country up here at Bathurst. Thank you.
Larry Perkins. Come on, Larry, you've done this before.
Thank you. Well, I've got to first thank the very good mechanics we got, Andy, Part, Martin, Mort, and all the other guys that have helped us right through. It's been tremendous. We couldn't have won without those guys, and thanks also to Philip for giving me his seat in the car.
And now the man who made it 7 times today, Peter Brock. Come on, Peter.
Well, first of all, my thanks to John Harvey for, you know, just being there and giving us a chance of trying to win again today. And I didn't think we were looking too good for a while, but magnificent job by the boys. Our pit stops were great. And I think that proves the point that if you're going to do well, you've got to really do well at Bathurst. Forget Calder and those sort of short circuits. Bathurst is what it's all about. And I'm very, very pleased to have picked up a 7th win. And I just hope I can make it 8th next year and keep the Australian flag flying. Thank you.
Since 1970, the story of Bathurst has very largely been the story of 2 men. Peter Brock, who's now won it all these times, 7, and a man who's won it 4 times and today came 2nd, Alan Moffat. Are you there, Alan? And his Japanese co-driver, Yoshimi Katayama. Well, Alan, you had your troubles during the week, but it was a great effort, and you must, no one likes to come 2nd, but you must have a certain feeling of accomplishment to have proved the point and done so very well here today.
Yes, well, it's tough on the mountain no matter what you're driving, but I guess I can say it took 2 cars to beat me today. I've got a lot of people I want to thank, and since nobody here can hear me, I will just speak to the camera. Thanks, Martin, and everybody at Peter Stuyvesant, to Ray Baxter, and Malcolm Goff, and all the Mazda distributors and dealers throughout Australia who've supported us throughout the year. We put our best foot forward today, and Yoshimi and myself, I drove the car very hard, but the Holden was too good for us today.
Now, come on. I know at heart you're all sportsmen. Let's acknowledge the man who is this year's National Touring Car Champion, who's one of the great drivers in this country. A big cheer, really, for Alan Moffat.
Well, there's the scene.
All right. I know you're going to welcome those who came 3rd. There's another great effort, despite a lot of problems earlier in the week. In 3rd place, Alan Grice and Colin Bond.
Well, no doubt about the popularity of Peter Brock. There you can see a section of the big crowd still poised here. We'll have interviews. We'll talk to some of the winners and some of the losers. We'll take a break and return to Mountain Panorama at Bathurst.